Guru Nation. I am joined by my brother from another mother, Chris Sauber. How's it going, man?
It's a going. It's a good day so far.
SaveOurSites.com behind him, and then here you see DSCS. So the last video we did together, which people are demanding, by the way, more Chris Sauber. And so we force feed him Chris
Force feed.
Sauber. Yeah, force feed more doses and bigger doses of Chris Sauber. And there's been a lot of comments on
Are
that
you
one.
calling me fat?
No, but we'll
Oh,
force feed the viewers and the listeners with Saber, more doses. I have 30 years of AI product and 10 years of trials. I think there are many things easy to miss about AI. I agree task doing will probably go away, and there will just be a lot more highly efficient studies. The whole process will get overhauled, and humans will be there to talk to humans. There's a lot of nuance here, and new jobs are already being created. So yes, the last episode we did, we said potentially no more CRAs by 2030. And who else will AI replace? And it's a little nuanced. I think CRAs, we both actually think CRAs are still will be here, but they'll be doing relatively different roles than what they're currently doing now. They won't be doing SDV, SDR as much. They'll be doing more, hey, Chris, we really need you to make sure you don't make those deviations again, man. Like, why did you do that? Let's
mm,
let's retrain you.
that human element, having a
The
social
human
contact.
touch, right? Not a task so much as a holistic change agent.
So, sorry, I just want to step back a moment.
Yeah.
When do you think there will be no SDV, SDR any longer? Five
Uh,
years, 10 years?
when do I think that's
Like it's
possible? I think it's
no, not
already
possible.
possible.
Entirely gone,
I think
right?
5 years.
5 years? Okay.
I don't think entirely gone because you will still need a human to sign off on it, but it will be done for you by an AI
100%.
if you're the Siri.
100% done by
Yeah,
AI.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Then the CRA is going to be ultimately responsible if they just click the box, yeah, like they looked at it, but they didn't.
So,
They're going to hold them responsible. So you know how like when you go rent a car or something, they give you like just scroll down to the bottom and
yeah.
it'll be like that. And every CRA I know is just going to be like, okay, like I trust this thing.
So I don't know what I said last time, so I may be contradicting myself, but I think it's
Sweet.
more likely 10 years from the start date, right? So that's how long it seems for the industry to evolve,
Yeah,
about 10 years. So I think
yeah,
once it starts, it'll take 10 years. So I think we're at least 10 years away, personally. Now, what I do think will eventually happen, I don't think it'll ever be gone, but what I could see is kind of what you're describing, where they all just have to look everything over, all the changes and everything done like a PI does, right? And signs off
hmm
on the EDC. It'd be the same thing, right? I think that's what you're describing.
yeah, yeah. And the sites will get it first because they could care less so much about
Yeah,
who's telling them what to
absolutely.
do, and it's
Absolutely.
ultimately their tech. But that was the last video, the last episode was about, when and what. And this one is about how to protect yourself or how to keep your career relevant
Hmm.
in this kind of a world.
I don't know if I have any advice for that. Let me hear your advice and I'll see if I agree with it or if I have something I would disagree
Well,
with.
a couple of things. So you need to have
Oh, I like your Cardinals hat. I just noticed that. Sorry to interrupt.
thank you, man. Yeah, this one I actually didn't one of the few hats I didn't win from you from a bet.
Ha 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 ha. You're so funny.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Couple of things. Clearly judgment. You got to know when to do certain things, when to double check the systems versus moving on to something else, knowing how to prioritize things for your stakeholders. Curation. So getting like the obvious is emotional empathy, all that like EQ, right? That's obvious by now.
Hmm.
But further down, like I want to give people something tangible. It's knowing how to connect things, knowing how to spot patterns. So I guess pattern recognition. When I've seen this so many times. I know how it usually ends in a deviation or an undocumented SAE. So I'm gonna like look at this real quick because my spidey sense is telling me this something I need to explore. Like stuff like that. And also a sense of taste. So what I mean by taste, so there's two things related to taste. One is a a sense for the aesthetic. So not so much in our industry like what's visually pleasing or pleasing to the eyes like beauty, but when it comes to like a tool or a workflow, what's like a nice smooth workflow versus something that can be improved. Because I actually think that's going to be a new role created as like workflow optimization agents. I don't know what they're going to be called, but essentially they're going to look at all the different parts that are connected and their task is going to be, well, how do you make this like smoother? And like that you have to have good taste to some extent. Because to an outsider who's never played with any tool, they might all look like they're good, right? But to someone who actually has done these these roles, they're like, well, this could be improved here. This is a little too much friction on this end. A lot of people are going to hate that part and not do it. So something like that. And then curiosity. I think I think curiosity is going to be the skill most needed besides this judgment or taste is going to be curiosity. The willingness to the by default, the willingness to question the system itself and to mess
So,
around with new things.
so the previous items you were describing kind of reminded me of the movie Office Space. Um,
That's a good movie.
yeah, I don't know if you know what.
Fractions of a penny.
Well, that not that part, but where everybody has to come in and explain their function, their role with the company.
Mm.
You're kind of describing that to a degree, I think. Um, how do you transition to so you're still valuable to the company? Because you're talking about gut feelings, which I don't know. That was the initial item. I don't know if that's
Pattern
something people.
recognition.
Yeah, but Spidey tingly sense you mentioned, which would be gut feeling. No,
Yeah, but that's because of pattern recognition. Like that
okay,
skill, I think people don't talk about that one enough.
sure.
What makes a good, like, why do you prefer an experienced coordinator over an inexperienced, for the most part? Is because they've already recognized certain patterns and they've seen the results. Like they've seen good outcome, they've seen bad outcomes. Hopefully, there's enough similarities to where you can distinguish quickly, hey,
Mhm.
that's gonna end up good, that's not. So I need to like pay attention more to this one. That's just pattern recognition. Like in sports, the quarterbacks, they've seen,
Sure.
different
This
lineups and
defense, that
yeah,
defense, whatever.
like in split seconds too. You can't really articulate it, but you've recognized this pattern somehow.
Sure.
And there's even some abstract elements, but like I could still kind of see through it, like where they connect. And I think that's gonna be very much in demand. And that's you're gonna need more experienced people than ever before in this world.
Well, I guess so. I did think of something that I think I would hone in on and focus on if I wanted to stay in any industry, actually, is as it's taken over, so air quotes, taken over by AI, what you have to offer is the human component. So hone that. And what can you hone? Well, uh, in this industry, it'd be like bedside manner, right? How do you play nicely with others? Um, how do you instruct? Can you instruct patients? Can you instruct PIs in such a way that they're not getting upset about it, right? Or argumentative with you because of the way you're presenting yourself. I think those positions will even become more. I mean, we're already doing all of that now, right? It already has to
Right.
all be done now. But I don't think that ever goes away. Um, and I think even in regards to what you're discussing, there'll still need to be a human element there in terms of can you play nicely with others? Because you're going to have to, I think, be more instructive to others. I don't know how to put it exactly, but I think once AI takes over, it's really all boils down to being a human in terms of interactions with other humans, right? Coordinators a lot of times outside of when they're seeing the patients are one-on-one with whatever systems they're working on, right?
Right,
Whether it be
right.
EDC, eSource, IVRS, whatever the case may be. Um, I think that goes by the wayside. So as a coordinator, your primarily focus will be with other humans,
Hmm.
I think,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, with other humans. But of course, and that there's going to be more of that ideally, right? So you should be able
Hmm.
to you'll still be able to train new people, like we're always going to need new people, but the very experienced people who are able to recognize patterns are going to be the ones early on being able to train the new people, right?
Oh,
And
absolutely.
and I think like resisting AI is a dead end. I mean, it's kind of going to come out regardless of what anyone feels at this point. Like we're
Printing,
just way too far into it.
printing press, the gin mill, they all went
Yeah,
through this
yeah.
where people were destroying them, thinking that would do something,
Right.
right? Right.
Moralizing,
Yeah.
dooming,
Yeah.
opting
There's
out,
nothing you
saying
can
it's
do about it.
a
You're right.
fad.
Yeah.
Like,
Nothing you can do about it.
no. AI is not going to wait for your comfort,
Nope.
and the winners won't be the ones who reject it. Like, that's
And there's a really simple reason behind that, just like all previous inventions. Not only does it make mankind's lives easier, it
right.
makes them more
Right.
profitable.
Right.
So you have those two components. You can't undo this, right?
Well, and then taste goes more than just aesthetics, like where I said workflow optimization. Taste is also like, in a way, it's a discernment of what actually matters. So you're gonna be bombarded. If you think coordinators are bombarded now with data points, I mean, it's gonna be like overflow. You open up any coordinator's inbox right now, it's just alerts from every system about everything, right? There's gonna be like 10 times that. And the ones with good taste, good judgment are gonna say, well, this is the one that matters. Um, from all these things I see here, this is the one that matters. Everything else does not right now. I might need to come back to it later. For right now, for this visit, or for this particular problem I'm dealing with, everything else does not matter.
So these, I assume, notifications are changes AI made to the system and are notifying the overlord, which would be the coordinator, primary coordinator for the study,
Yeah.
that, hey, this change was made, that change was made,
Yep.
this data was input, that data was input. This is what you're referring to, right?
Yeah. Well, even
By
today, like
notifications.
I don't even think we use very much AI. There's automated like responses, but you screen a patient, you'll get, if you're on that study, you're gonna get like 5 emails that day
Sure.
about something, right? And
Right.
then IRB review complete is gonna be another one, and new training modules now available. Like, so you're gonna be getting this 10 times more than you're getting now
Mm.
because everyone's agent is gonna respond to everyone's agent. And at some point, a coordinator is gonna sit there and be like, okay, like from this visit I just did, there's about 500
But
emails.
wouldn't there be an AI solution to this as well?
Well, maybe. But then ultimately someone has to have taste and make a judgment call and say, well, none of this really matters. This is what matters right now.
Hmm.
I'll come back to those and I know how to get back to those when I need to so I don't get lost in the data. But for right now, this is what matters. And I think that seems obvious, but if you're talking about having a job like a skill set, most people have been trained to do tasks, right? Most people who are going to lose their jobs to AI are not going to lose them because they were lazy or stupid, but because they're sharpening the wrong tools. Like
So,
intelligence, everyone think, okay, well, I'm intelligent, I'm an RN. I'm a good CRA. I understand the clinical stuff. Like I know like drug to drug interactions. AI knows that way better than that RN ever could.
oh, sure.
But
They have
that RN
instant access to
hopefully
all.
can recognize patterns and say, well, no, something's off on this thing. I need to look into this more.
Well, we need to tell Gmail because they have Gemini, right? Gemini,
Yeah, Google, yeah,
Google.
Gemini. Yeah.
So we need to tell Gmail to start programming Gemini to manage email, right? In terms of maybe highlighting critical emails in red,
I think you can already. Gemini's
critical
built
emails in
into,
red,
yeah,
less important emails in yellow or blue or green or whatever. And that way you can filter these things quickly.
I think you actually can already do that.
Yeah.
But it's not, it's going to be more than just that because then you're just going to have a bunch of colors everywhere.
Sure.
Like,
You just know I got to look at the red.
yeah, but someone has to discern that, like, this
Well,
is
you get
red.
AI to do it though.
No,
No? You don't
at
think
some
so?
point, a human has to still have taste and judgment and curiosity. Like, those
Hmm.
are the skills that
I
make
don't
it.
know if I agree with that.
You don't have to. I mean, it's just
Well, I mean, you're
my
already
theory.
doing this with your email, right?
I'm just not checking it.
But I mean, you have AI
That's a
doing
more.
it.
No, I don't have a. I have AI kind of segmenting him into different categories. Like this is a notification versus this is an actual email. It does some of that, but it's not perfect.
Okay.
And I do miss important things here and there, but I have
So,
to still go in there manually every day,
but
basically.
wouldn't you think as the systems improve, that system would improve as well, right? So once
Yes.
the industry can fully implement, right, getting rid of SDV, SDR, at the same time, I would assume email would have come along far enough to be able to systematically and 100% accurately categorize emails. I would
Hmm.
think. You
Yeah.
don't think so?
No, I think there's just gonna be even more of those things. So
Hmm.
it's gonna be like a wash. And
Oh,
what's gonna
I don't doubt that. I completely agree with you. I see this sort of being a bazillion notifications,
yeah.
but I think it could easily recognize what's relevant and what's not, or what's questionable, right? Like for sure, this is relevant. You need to address this. It's in red. This is a maybe, so it's a yellow. These
Mm.
you can ignore. They're all in green.
Well, yeah. So ultimately, but that requires a human to have judgment, intuition, which are kind of
But I'm
like
saying
pattern
AI should be able
recognition.
to do that, no?
No, I don't think the AI actually can.
Hmm.
At some point, a human has to be the last call, and that I think there are three or four things left, maybe besides all the human to human interaction stuff, is judgment, intuition, which is more of the pattern spotting, pattern recognition. Uh, and then like taste, this taste, which is something like the ability to say this matters, everything else doesn't right now. And that's a skill that can actually be cultivated over time. Whereas like pattern recognition's kind of like you have no real framework for how to cultivate it other than just doing more of your job. But taste, you kind of can, and that you can kind of figure out quickly what matters, what doesn't on a day to day or even a job to job thing. And I think you're already starting to see it. Like you said, I mean, I use AI, but I still have to go in there and kind of tweak it on my emails.
And
But I
it's
think that's
wrong.
the people that are going to be left.
But the AI email right now is wrong a lot of the time, right? Like if you were to have it categorize emails, it would get a lot of them wrong.
No,
No?
no, it's getting them right. It's just certain things that are notifications, they technically are, but I'd prefer, like, they were still important. And so my brain basically said ignore notifications,
Hmm.
but there are certain things that are important. So that's this
Sure.
taste and judgment.
Notification patient was screened today. Well, I already knew that. I don't need to see an email on it. Notification, my Chase card was charged $20,000 and we think this
Yeah,
might have been
yeah.
fraudulent. You kind of want to know that one.
Or notification signature requested versus notification this, and this happened at the site. It's like my brain just filters all of them in the same bucket because the AI
Sure.
did.
Sure.
It doesn't mean it's less not important. So that's where the human has to come in. Like that's taste, that's judgment, that's not pattern recognition, but it's taste. Like, well, that's not how I prefer. Like, yeah, let's improve this somehow or play around with this tool. I think that's the people. I don't know how else to articulate other than it's more than just that tired advice of start playing with these AIs. Like everyone's doing that. I don't, and most people are playing with it in ways that is not going to benefit them. They're just asking them
Sure,
stupid questions.
sure.
But like
S-
when it comes to your career, there's a, I think that's where the taste, the refinement has to come in.
Well,
Curiosity, right? The ability, like Plato said, one of the human truths is like our ability to discern beauty. Like even babies can do it, newborns. They see
mhm.
something that's they deem beautiful. I know it's subjective, but something they deem beautiful versus the mundane. Like they're gonna be drawn to, the beautiful. It's very innately human.
Yeah, it's very similar to, I mean, I know it's different than what you're saying, but it's very similar to Einstein said, intellect is not knowledge, it's imagination.
There you go. And that's the curiosity part.
Hmm.
If you want to, like what we just mentioned so far is just how to keep yourself relevant. To how to get ahead is going to be that curiosity. And no one's
So,
going to tell. And that's no different than it was 10 years ago. Who are the people that end up being successful? The people that are actually curious, like, well, why are we doing it this way? Why can't we be done this way?
mhm,
And my employer doesn't want to listen. I'll go start my own thing then.
sure,
That's progress. And in the AI world, it's going to be compounded. But in the AI world, you don't even need to know how to code. You can
sure,
just use Claude Code. The coding language is English now. Like pretty soon these agents, you don't even have to copy and paste. You just tell them what you want and they'll do it.
right. Well, you and I agree and disagree. So I agree with you that I think that will be a position in the industry and most industries worldwide, regardless of whatever it is you're doing.
Which one?
Um, what you're discussing
Ah,
as
gotcha.
far as pattern recognition and all of that, I agree.
A
But
taste for taste also.
yes, but I think that will go away. I think AI will progress and we'll be able to
Mm,
do that as well.
pattern recognition and taste though.
Yeah, I think it can do that eventually. Because it's a system of learning, right? It's a system
Right,
of the
right.
user teaching the system what exactly is that I want you to do here. Now,
But
I,
taste the thing with humans that makes this interesting and with I guess workflow is that taste evolve, standards change,
mhm.
and so I think the humans, and who decides that? It's the humans. So the humans are always going to be one step further in that regard of like what's next. The AI is going to be great at perfecting what we've already established and doing it way more efficiently and no sick days and very little mistakes. But doing something new, it has no motivation or desire or curiosity to do new things. It's just
So
here to serve what you're programming.
I understand everything you're saying. What I'm saying though is I think right now where we're at with AI is if statements, right? Are you familiar with if statements in programming?
If this,
So
then that.
So basically, right? So if you see this, this is what we do. If you see this, this is what we do,
Yeah.
right? So that's where
Yeah.
we're at with email examples, right? Where if you get an email notification, do this with it.
Or
But you can
even
add,
data entry. Like
but
if you see this,
yes,
put this.
but what you can do is you can add exceptions to those if statements, right? Or if statements within an if statement. If this happens, run it through this test, right? And the test is this a notification? Does the notification contain any words like fraud, emergency alert, whatever the statements are
Mm,
you're looking for within the email? If so, this requires my attention, send it back to my inbox. If not, categorize it into this folder or whatever, right?
mm.
You can do that. Now, that's the current system, at least that I'm familiar with in programming. I'm sure we'll go well beyond that, where it'll be a lot more intuitive opposed to just step by step telling it what to do. I assume, will become
I will
intuitive.
take the next logic. Well, these are predictive language models. So the whole way that they analyze like what word to put next is they predicting what word is likely to
Right,
be next.
right.
So in
Which
a way
can,
you can say you can predict like a CRA is supposed to be predicting potential future problems. The AI can do that too. They could potentially predict
Hmm.
where this site's likely to have a deviation. So in a way, they can have like pattern recognition too.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying, right? That
Yeah.
eventually I think it will become sophisticated enough that it
Yeah,
will
yeah.
replace that too. I mean, it will just again, just
Sure,
arguing my
sure.
point. I
But
think it
the
all boils down to
creativity,
being a human, being able to work
yes.
with other humans.
And the creativity is something that can't be, at least I don't think unless you have quantum computers, you can't take leaps and say, like, get instantaneous thoughts and say, okay, well, let's try it this way. What happens if we try this? Like AI, like things that are completely disconnected that AI would not even
Sure,
be
that's
considering.
AGI, right? And you
Yeah.
kind of feel we'll never get there. I don't know.
Well, you get into philosophy, like what is a thought? I really believe, and this is for our other podcast, but I don't think, I think a lot of our thoughts are our own when we actually sit and think it through, like
Mhm.
proactively. But I think when you get those random sparks, I don't think that's actually you. I think your brain's more of a receptor from the universe, getting these random like meanings and patterns, and then you're kind of creating something. I don't know if the AI can do that because the AI is programmed to predict, but it's
Well,
not necessarily programmed to receive randomness and make order from random.
I both agree and disagree with you. So I think you're going like too spiritual or
Metaphysical.
too infinite or metaphysical in terms of saying it comes from the universe. I don't think that's how it works. Me personally, how I think it works is your brain is set up in such a way that it stereotypes everything. Why? Because it gathers so much information so quickly every single day that if you actually cataloged everything your brain is gathering, you would just be driven nuts. So it
Yeah,
stereotypes. It constantly stereotypes. And the thing is you don't even know your brain's doing this.
right, right.
And thus, when you encounter something, it already has data for that, right? You
Pattern
just not a
recognition.
whatever it might be. It could be, it doesn't necessarily have to be patterns. It could be artistic. It could be whatever, right? It already has data for this, and that's where you're getting that signal from. This inner thought is just from your everyday life living, not even aware of that you're gathering this data and these things, and in your unconscious or subconscious, excuse me,
Right, right.
you're categorizing and cataloging these things for future use that you're not even aware of. I think that's what's actually going on.
Well, maybe that's what the AI is doing too then. Then we're
And it
screwed.
could, and it could, but that would be AGI, I think.
I still think human curiosity is a human trait that can't be replaced by a machine.
That's probably true.
And
That's
I think that
because
has a lot to do with the workflow.
curiosity is kind of an emotional concept, in my opinion. Um,
Yeah, curiosity has something to do with willpower and motivation, which are also human.
but curiosity can come from a number of factors, right? I'm bored. I need to find something to do.
Right.
I need to find something that sparks me, curiosity,
But that's
right?
motivation though. Like,
Sure, sure. But I don't
I
think
don't
you
think
could,
machines have that.
no, I don't think you could program that. That's more
Yeah.
akin to emotion.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
don't think we can program emotion. I'm sure we can't yet, but maybe at some point.
And generally emotions looked at as a bad thing, but in the case of creating new solutions and
No, absolutely.
out of the box thinking, which is where the humans are going to do well. Because the AI is going to get most of everything right. But in the cases where they get it wrong or they have the human could maybe with the AI tools put forth an even better solution. I've done it already in my own research. Like when I'm writing papers on these stocks,
Hmm. Hmm.
I take what the AI gives. I'm like, yeah, but you didn't think of it like from this angle. And it's like, no, no,
Sure.
you're right. That's probably just gassing me, but no, no, you're right.
Hmm.
That's actually a good insight. And it becomes, at least what I think, is a better complete output versus what it would
Oh,
have done
no
on its
doubt.
own.
Yeah, no doubt. But I think it will progress to where you probably won't have to do that eventually.
I think there will always be improvement though.
Yeah,
And that
eventually.
that maybe leads to GDP, the P,
Hmm.
increase faster than the jobs are displaced. That's the
Mm, I
That's
think
the
we're too far off from
utopian
that.
scenario.
Well, you and I have already, yeah, you and I have already discussed this. I think there'll be a 10-year lag
There's a
there.
10-year lag where it's gonna get.
Ugly for
I
10
think I
years.
already started. I
I
actually
don't
think I
think
already
so.
started.
I don't think there's enough layoffs yet, personally, for the
Oh,
to have
Farm,
started.
Zero and Pharma have had a bunch, man. What are you
Sure,
talking about?
it's going to get worse before it gets better. We're talking like what is
Oof.
it, a third of the jobs are driving jobs? When those are all replaced,
Chris Sabra with the doom and gloom.
but think about it, a third of the jobs are lost. What's going on in our industry is like what, less than a tenth of a percent of the worldwide jobs or something. You're
Yeah,
talking a third of the jobs of the world are driving. When it's all automated,
yeah.
uh-oh, that's a problem.
But can humans? I know, and we're getting off of the topic for research, but I think there's a lot of welcome opportunity for these machines to do certain tasks.
Oh, no
Like in
doubt.
our industry, it's
No
data
doubt.
entry. It's kind of like this brainless, almost meaningless task.
Hmm.
And I think the humans need to bring the meaning back into it. Perfect
No.
example. Patients, a little on the fence about, I think I want to quit the study, Dan. I know
Hmm.
I've been at visit 8 and there's 4 more visits, but here's what's going on. Like, I need to quickly forget about tasks as a coordinator, figure out a solution. Well,
Hmm.
let me help figure it out. Let's figure this out. What do you want to do? Maybe the sponsor will allow remote visit. Oh, I didn't know you can do that. Yeah, but let's see. I have to ask them. I have to convince them. But let's see,
Right.
maybe something else. This is what we're gonna be left with, which
Oh,
is
absolutely.
plenty. That's actually the hard part. It's
Yeah.
not the other
No,
stuff,
I
just
agree
the
with you.
annoying
The
stuff.
human part, I agree.
Yeah.
Right? Interactions with other humans. But
Now, who wants
uh
to do all that when you have mountains of data entry to do?
but yeah, that data entry is going away, will be gone very quickly. And there's
Right.
reasons, right? I don't think
Right.
that'll be a 10-year thing because in your contracts as a site, every one of them contain, I will enter my data within 72 hours or whatever it says, right? It's usually 72 hours. So,
Shout out to Rosario.
yeah, right. So if they need the data that quickly, and especially if the sponsor is really kind of stringent on that, they're going to welcome automatic SDV or excuse me,
Right,
automatic data
right,
entry,
right.
right? Because it's instantaneous.
But the crux of the job is like never was that to begin with.
Sure.
So it's like when people are worried about jobs being replaced, this is where I take the optimist view. It's just it's replaced. The part you don't like is being replaced. The
Not only
part
that.
most of us like, there are some weirdos that like data entry. I've hired a few. They're like, it's therapeutic for me to do this. I'm like, dude, God bless your soul. Like, this is a nightmare for most people. But
Mhm.
like, the machines are gonna do that. But
Well,
dealing with other humans and like chaos that happens in their life and how to bring that to an order of a protocol, that's human. You can
and
use tools to help you.
if you go back 20 years, there was no data entry. Zero.
Zero is Sierra paper, case
Yeah.
report form on a pink and yellow. I'm
So
old enough to do this.
yeah, it's not like data entry's been around forever. It's
And
just
you know what a monitor told me back then in '05? This is a perfect way to kind of bring this to a close. Kind of. There's a few more points, but CRA came. It was my first study. I didn't know any better. She said, everyone's moving to EDC. I am so glad this is my last year doing this. I'm retiring. They're coming
wanted
after
nothing to do
all of
with
our
EDC.
jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, she said, they're coming after all of our jobs. No one's here to pull papers anymore. What do they need me for? I'm retired. And she said, but you're going to have to deal with it. And I'm just sitting there like, I preferred entering it in the EDC than writing on these things.
Yeah.
What are you talking about, lady? And those jobs didn't go anywhere. Like the CRAs, they went on a hiring frenzy a
Mhm.
decade later after she made those doomer statements. So I think it's going to be similar. There will be a period of uncertainty where it's like, well, every company's going to try to do more with less. And then they're going to realize, well, we got all these new problems we didn't really anticipate. And what does that require? That requires like what I think is people that are able to taste, to be curious, to have pattern recognition. I think that's the skill sets that are going to be needed. Besides, of course, human to human interactions and all that stuff.
So I think more likely, I don't necessarily think there'll be a loss of need for employees, but I think more likely it'll transition to sponsors. Well, we get data so quickly now, we just need more patients continuously or more quickly. So these people will transition to recruiters or something like that.
Well, what do you think about McCary? So in order for that P to go up, the in GDP, the
Mhm,
productivity,
mhm.
you need, and in order for this bull narrative to play out, you need to offset the job loss with more projects. So they actually need more people. The FDA came out and said, so they got into something crazy called Bayesian statistic. They're going to allow Bayesian statistics
What is that?
instead of
I'm not
like
familiar.
p-value. So it's basically allows you to have a prediction of what kind of patients will do better on your drug versus p-value of
Mhm.
degree of certainties, right? Which is like the way we've been doing it. So it's supposed to make it
More
easier to
predictive?
design. Yes, it's supposed to make it easier to design a study, but it's actually harder to find those patients
Hmm.
because you're going to be restricting more. Like it's not just
Mhm.
any patient with hypertension, it's these
These
particular
particular, yeah.
non-responders to this and then
Mhm.
previous responders to this.
This lab, these labs,
Yes.
this offset of something,
So that's
whatever.
something that's supposed to be a tailwind because yes, each study will get harder, but you're supposed to encourage sponsors to do more studies. Furthermore, they said you can start combining phases like phase 1/2, and they said you can get rid of the two phase 2 trials before you go to a phase 3. Now you can just do one. They're starting with rare disease, but they're eventually going to go to like everything, right? So do you think that will cause just more studies? Because I think so. If you go by what the CEO of Eli Lilly said, he said, what's stopping us is not money. We have plenty of money. It's all these bottlenecks, operational bottleneck, human resources, just lack of trained staff. So do you think that bull narrative does play out where, okay, we don't need two phase 2 studies anymore. We only need one, but there's still all these sites out there. Do we have enough new studies to feed all those sites and all those people? And if
So,
so, when? Because that's really the tailwinds that could be headwinds disguised as tailwinds coming up.
your question can go all kinds of directions.
It's all another podcast, but maybe it's a cliffhanger for something else.
Well, do you think ultimately pharma is going to head towards individualized medicine?
On the selling side, yeah.
Okay.
they're already selling direct to consumer, but
So
they'll never be the provider.
this is stepping in that direction, at least in my opinion, towards individualized medicine, where we're going to design the drug specific to you, right?
Yeah.
This would be a step in that direction. If
I think
ultimately
that's 30, 40 years away though.
if that's ultimately their goal, but then you have conspiracy theories about, well, they don't want to find cures for you. They just want to keep you on whatever drug or whatnot, right?
I
So I
think the
mean, you could go all
Bayesian
kinds of directions.
I think for life or death stuff, personalized medicine makes sense. We're invested in a company, Iova, that does this.
Mhm,
It's very expensive, but people need it because the alternative is you're gonna die, and
mhm.
it's actually an ugly death. Mucosal melanoma is not a fun way to go
Is there a fun way to go?
in your sleep. Yeah,
Overdosing on LSD, maybe?
that too. Definitely not mucosal melanoma where your organs fail. But like,
Sure.
point is, people are paying for
Hmm.
that. Now, if it's something about hypertension, I don't think you're going to get personalized medicine for hypertension or type 2 diabetes, but you are going to get more
If medicine
predictive.
progresses enough, you could.
Yes, but in our lifetime, I think what you're going to more likely see is you're in this cohort where the algorithms think you are likely to respond to this instead of
Sure.
this.
Sure. No
That's what's
doubt.
more
No
likely going
doubt.
to happen.
Yeah, no doubt.
But that all translates to more complicated studies.
Yeah.
So we actually
And
gonna need this AI to keep our sanity as coordinators, as CRAs, and in order to
potentially.
even do them. So that's my bullish argument. And the next time anyone complains about how complex trials are getting, I'll remind them that's the only thing keeping you employed.
Yeah, there's arguments for both sides, right? In terms of complexity and its benefits, but it also there's many negatives to it as well.
Well, of course, there's negatives, but ultimately that's the way even the administration is kind of shaping things up.
Sure.
Bayesian, I think this Bayesian thing that they just announced at JP Morgan, Dr. McCary, people are not considering the ramifications of. That's going to make trials more complex.
Will they pay better?
Yeah, most likely.
Because if your recruitment factor is 10x, right, in term 10x more difficult, not 10x more easily done.
Yeah,
Um, I gotta imagine you gotta pay better, right?
right. And then accrual is going to be slower,
Right.
meaning that if you don't want sites just sitting on their ass all day, they have free capacity to do another trial. And
Hmm.
if money's not the issue, they're not competing because they're not finding those patients anyways. Like they don't just fall off of trees. So design another trial and just instead of giving them one study, give them four different protocols and then
And
have them go to work.
and theoretically, I would assume theoretically that these trials will be very slow to conclusion,
Yeah, I
depending
mean,
on the numbers needed,
and
right?
I don't think the FDA is considering that because they're not doing this. It doesn't sound like they're doing it with the sites in mind, which I don't blame them. It's not,
Hmm.
sites are a necessary evil. It's this, what they're doing this with the sponsors in mind. Like, we're gonna make it
Sure.
easier for you to prove your study results, right? But that actually means it's harder to do the trial at the site level.
Right. Harder to recruit.
Right,
And if it's harder to recruit, it's going to take longer to recruit.
right. And then if those sites still have excess capacity, give them another study too, because they're looking for those patients, but they're not gonna find one every day.
So if the FDA is doing this to speed up trials, they're actually not going to speed them up.
No, they're not. They're doing it to make drug development more predictable on the approval side.
So not just predictable, but also probably better suited to the individual, probably um, more responsive the individuals will be just because of the data set they're gathering, I would expect,
Yeah.
right?
But they're doing this to so we can compete with China because China's going at record pace here with INDs and drug approvals. And they realize that our bureaucratic system has slowed things down
Mhm.
and everyone's been looking at p-values, but now they're introducing this Bayesian, which is more of a predictive modeling for who's likely to respond, which is going to work better, but they don't consider the sites have to do the work, and it's actually got harder for the sites. But it'll be chances are, if you finish the trial, you feel confident about the results because you could stop the trial. That's another thing they don't tell you.
Mhm.
You can stop the trial because you'll know faster if it's working or not. You can
So,
stop it. So you'll have a lot more study cancellation. Hey, it's not working. Thanks, but we're not doing this anymore.
so I got to make a political statement. So you said,
Ah, you had to kill it, man. We
so
were
you
doing
said
so good.
China is so far ahead, right? So that
No,
is
getting
abs
ahead, getting further.
okay.
They're on pace to get much further
Well,
ahead.
but because they can do everything quickly, and that
Yeah.
is absolutely at least in my opinion, again, a political statement, the one and only benefit to being a dictatorship or a communist dictatorship, right? Is
Socialist,
you
capitalist.
can no, not that. Uh, Dictatorship primarily, you can get things done so quickly, right? You can move
Yeah.
things so
Yeah, yeah,
quickly
yeah.
because you can say, even if there is regulatory framework in the way, you can say ignore it as a dictator, right? Which is
Yeah.
what they do in China.
Well, we can do
So
that here too when we did Project Warp Speed or whatever it was called.
yeah,
Operation Warp Speed.
there were still regulations in
Yeah,
place,
but it's an
right?
example of shifting the requirements
Sure,
for
sure.
certain
But that
situations.
is the only, and again, in my opinion, benefit, right?
Yeah, and that's the default in China. It's like if you look at, and the narrative has always been China steals your stuff. But if you look at the last few years, they're actually outproducing. They're not stealing anymore. Like
Sure. They
they're
don't have the
publishing more.
roadblocks. They don't have the roadblocks we
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
They
So,
don't have to worry about lawsuits. They don't have to worry about regulatory
right,
framework. They don't have
right,
to worry about losing money because the regulators say, we need more proof.
right.
No.
So, so the FDA is doing their part currently, help facilitate this industry, push it forward.
Mhm.
At least from the sponsor's perspective, I think the sites again. You're just gonna have to do the work you're given. But I think there will be more work. I think it will be more complex, but I think you will get more. I think budgets will get better. I think we'll need more sites,
Mhm.
like all that bull case narrative, which I'm very good at. Of course, there's a bear case scenario too, but we don't want to get into that. That's where you come in.
The optimist.
Yes. I don't know. Hopefully we give people enough advice or at least color commentary because we're just two talking heads on YouTube.
Well, you're very trusted talking at.
So are you. People demand you come on.
I doubt that, but I did get a compliment from a new client just the other day. He said something like, I love it. I watch Dan all the time, he says. And he said, but you know what? I really enjoy it more when you're on. I was like,
Yeah,
huh? I was like,
a
what?
lot of people.
And I said, why specifically? Because you have been saying this lately. And he said, well, I'm going to be honest. You just add a perspective. Oftentimes, Dan misses, and you guys often disagree, which I actually like considering both sides of the argument.
There you
And
go.
I and I was like, okay. And he said, no, I get that from other people that join the show, but it seems to happen more with you, is what he said.
Yeah, yeah,
So I don't know.
I agree.
All right.
Well, this is why you need a larger dose of Chris.
I don't know about that, but yeah, I don't
We
mind
can
being
get
on
him
once in a
bigger.
while.
We get him bigger. What's the opposite of a GLP-1? Let's get him one of
Uh,
those.
yeah, make me real fat.
Yeah, steroids.
Do steroids make you fat? They make you
No,
gain
but they'll
weight?
make you bulk.
It's just what I need, more bulk.
There you go.
No. My wife already says I have too big a head.
That's a perfect place to end it. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Good
Bye-bye.
luck out there. It's a cold world. Bye bye.